I absolutely loved the Wii U. So much so that I went out and spent about $300 on Wii U games so I can do this nice retrospective video. You see, I wanted to buy as many games as possible, specifically the ones that I missed the first time around, to really represent the Wii U's library. Then I realized I had 25 games to cover and may have bitten off just a little bit more than I could chew. So I apologize in advance, but I'm going to try to be as brief as I possibly can with each game unless I have a personal story connected with that game. One final note is that while I did spend about $350 or so, give or take, on games for this video, there were 3 that I already owned that I just couldn't justify the price to get the Wii U version on top of that. So for Amazing Spider-Man 2, it'll be PS4 footage, and for New Super Mario Bros. U as well as Rayman Legends, it'll be Switch footage. With all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into my retrospective on the Wii U, starting with the Wii U's launch. Luckily, thanks to my dad, I only had to wait a couple of months and I got my Wii U for Christmas of 2012, and with it I got New Super Mario Bros. U as well as Nintendo Land. Nintendo Land was okay, maybe played it for a couple of hours, I don't have much to say on it. As for the launch games that I ended up playing, on November 18th, 2012, Assassin's Creed 3, Call of Duty Black Ops 2, New Super Mario Bros. U, and Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transformed were released. Assassin's Creed 3 was actually the first Assassin's Creed I ever got on release day. I did have the original but never got around to beating it, and then I walked into a GameStop and I saw this big statuette of Connor and I thought it looked really cool. I asked about the game, they said what it was. I plopped down $5 as well as bought a copy of Assassin's Creed 2, plowed my way through 1 and 2 and got excited and hyped for this game. I really liked it on the Xbox 360. As for the Wii U, I wouldn't end up playing it on the Wii U until somewhere around 2015, 2016. TLDR, I was living at home with my dad, sleeping on the floor with a 12-inch TV and a Wii U, so I didn't really have a whole lot of things going on at the time. Assassin's Creed 3 on the Wii U is essentially just Assassin's Creed 3 on the Xbox 360, except for it's a little bit more unstable as well as a little bit more stable at the exact same time. The Xbox 360 version had its issues but was relatively consistent throughout, where with the Wii U version, the first part of the game with Haytham just runs consistently terribly in my experience, yet whenever it turns over to Connor, the game figures its issues out and actually runs relatively well. If for whatever reason the game you're watching right now looks entertaining to you and all you have is a Wii U, I actually can recommend this. I actually got a brand new physical copy for somewhere around $11 and it's only $20 digitally, so needless to say, Assassin's Creed 3 is affordable. I know a lot of people don't like this game's story, but me personally, I love the story, I love the setting, I really do like Connor as a character. I've had a lot of fun with Assassin's Creed 3, I've beaten it multiple times, and I can easily recommend this one, especially because of how cheap it is. So any Nintendo fans that want to get the game now, you might want to just get it on the Switch. Moving on to Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Black Ops 2 is still, to this day, the best multiplayer experience in the entire Call of Duty series. It is still my favorite, and the Wii U version is essentially the same thing as the Xbox 360 version, except for you can still play it for free online, and Nintendo actually has a small dedicated community for this. It's not a very sizable one, but I didn't have any problems finding a match, and it was a really fun trip down memory lane. I absolutely love Black Ops 2, and even on the Wii U, I can still recommend it. Moving on to New Super Mario Bros. U. New Super Mario Bros. U is actually the first ever 2D Mario game I beat. I know nowadays the New Super Mario Bros. Games aren't looked at fondly, however, I had a lot of fun with this. It really helped me get back into the Mario series, especially with the 2D platformers. Side note, the Wii U had so many great 2D platformers. You know, my favorite memory associated with New Super Mario Bros. U is when I was sitting in theater class right when the game came out. It wasn't Christmas yet, I didn't have access to the game, and the Super Gaming Brothers were doing a Let's Play of it, and just that Let's Play was a lot of fun, and it made me really want to play the game, and that ended up being the first Mario game I ever played all the way through, and with Some Call Me Johnny being one of my favorite critics, and considering that just about any game that he would review on his channel, even the ones he didn't like, I would end up buying just to try him out. I know it's a bit of a meaningless side story, but I did find that kind of cool. Shout out to my wife for getting the Switch version for me for our anniversary. New Super Mario Bros. U is just a really solid 2D platformer. It's a lot of fun. I can easily recommend it. And while I don't support this modern trend Nintendo has of re-releasing Wii U games for full price in the Switch, if you go to Walmart, you can get it for $10 off, and I can easily justify this game for $50. And last but not least, Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. Now, I primarily played the Xbox 360 version and absolutely loved it, but talking about the Wii U version, I know there's a lot of reports of it being really buggy. I'm playing it 8 years later, so it's very likely to have been patched, so those glitches I would have never experienced, but it is a really solid experience on the Wii U, and it's still the best Sonic racing game that isn't Sonic Riders. I can easily recommend it. I have so much fun playing this. The tracks are smartly designed and colorful, and all the different themes for different Sega games are just amazing. The graphics are still really good even to this day. The amount of characters are great. Yeah, you have those weird ones like Wreck-It Ralph, which is still really cool by the way, or Danica Patrick. The vehicle transformation mechanic is ridiculously well implemented. Yes, it is similar in concept to Mario Kart 7 or the more recently released 8, but it functions fundamentally differently here. The races are a lot more about skill and about drifting and memorizing actual course layout. The items aren't as overpowered or annoying. This is seriously one of the best kart races released in the last decade. I got my physical copy for about $25. Digitally, it's $20. I highly recommend jumping on it. Moving on to August 4th, 2013, Pikmin 3. Pikmin 3 always looked like it was going to be a good title. However, it just never looked like it was going to be worth $60 like a lot of early on Wii U games. So I decided to wait, and then eventually, when I finally decided I was going to pay the $20 to buy it, the exact day my paycheck hit was the day that Pikmin 3 Deluxe was announced, and this was pulled from the Wii U eShop. Fortunately, after a lot of community backlash, Nintendo did decide to eventually put the game back up for sale, unlike Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. I decided to immediately buy it because I wasn't sure if they were going to pull the same shenanigans again, of course giving them additional profits, but I really did want to play the game, and I ended up turning it off in about 30 minutes. I guess Pikmin 3 really just wasn't my cup of tea. It's basically an RTS kind of game, and I'm not going to say it's a bad game, because it clearly isn't. The game looks fantastic, it does control well, it does have an interesting premise, the gameplay is fundamentally solid. I'm just going to chalk it up to it probably just isn't my cup of tea, and it was more so I just wanted to give this game a try, because over the years so many people have come out to say how much they love Pikmin 3, and it reviewed very well, and it looked interesting, and I wanted to at least give it a try. I am happy that I did give it a go, tried something different. It was a pretty good game, I didn't have to pay full price for it, just a standard $20, so I can recommend this to people that do like games like this, but anyone that likes games like this has already played this game. September 3rd, 2013 saw the release of Rayman Legends, and Rayman Legends is one of the best 2D platformers ever made. I will fight you on this. The game looked really good. It was back when I was buying every single game I possibly could on the Wii U. If it was available on the Wii U, I ended up playing it. I fell in love with it. Rayman Legends also features the single best 2D stage in any game, and that is Castle Rock. I am nowhere near smart enough to properly gather the words to articulate my feelings on this level. However, the best way I can possibly describe it is the same way that the I Need a Hero scene from Shrek 2 is the single greatest scene in any movie. This is the single greatest stage in any 2D game. If my memory serves correctly, when me and my now brother-in-law were hanging out at a Best Buy, this was actually demoed, and that was the stage they were demoing, and that's what made me want to buy the game. And while I do dislike most of the touchpad integrations for most Wii U games, Rayman Legends implemented them very well, and if you want proof of that, go ahead and play any other version of this game. Personally, for how long this game's been out, how many times I've bought it for under $10, and how many times I've seen the physical edition on either Walmart or Target store shelves for $20 or less, I can't recommend the Wii U version for $30, but if you do want to play this game, it's $12 at Target for the Switch version, as well as $20 at Walmart, so go ahead and grab it. Next up, released October 4th, 2013, is The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker HD. I was excited for this one because the game always looked interesting, and I just never ended up playing it on the GameCube. In fact, when my dad originally bought me my GameCube, it was packed in with a Legend of Zelda game. I think it might have been this one, but I don't remember. And the fact that when my dad bought me my original GameCube, it came packed in with the Legend of Zelda game, and I think it might have been this one, and the fact that he sold it right back to the guy at Toys R Us, I never got a chance to play it before, so I wasn't about to miss my chance on Wii U. I got it, I stopped playing after like 2 hours, and I don't know why. Upon revisiting it and getting to the exact same point where I stopped off before this time around, I had a lot of fun with it. I actually didn't want to stop playing, so I'm not sure why I stopped playing this time around as well at the same spot. I don't know, maybe Assassin's Creed 4 ruined all sailing games for me. But seriously, Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker HD, it looks fantastic, it controls well, it's a very interesting world, and I really like the story setup. I will eventually make time to beat this game, because this game is really good, I just need to play more of it. But only a couple hours into 2 separate playthroughs, I can go ahead and say this, it's only $20, go ahead and give it a shot. Released on October 25th, 2013 was Batman Arkham Origins. I actually chose to buy the Wii U version specifically because it was $10 less, and I don't really care about multiplayer in general, so I didn't mind the fact that the game didn't have multiplayer on Wii U. In fact, I actually liked that because once again, it was $10 off. And in retrospect, that decision right there might have actually made me enjoy Batman Arkham Origins more than most people, because since I only had to pay $50, what feels like essentially an extension of Batman Arkham City feels a lot more reasonably priced, even though Arkham Origins was notorious for not running very well. Now, personally, the only glitch I ever ran into is some stuttering in the cutscenes, which is pretty consistent among all versions. Other than that, I didn't really run into anything, no bad textures, no glitches, maybe I'm just lucky. Then again, when I look over my history with different games that are notoriously glitchy, Sonic 06, Cyberpunk 2077, I just never really encounter many glitches. I've only ever fully played through Batman Arkham Origins once, and I had a lot of fun doing it. I really did like the story, even though it isn't that great. I did really like the fact that Sonic the Hedgehog is now the voice of Batman, and it doesn't make Batman sound bad, thus showing that once again, like with Ezio, Roger Craig Smith is a very talented voice actor. He shouldn't be voicing Sonic. The fact that you get pretty much all of Gotham City to run around in is a big bonus. The map is bigger than Arkham City as a whole. I don't know by how much, but it is bigger overall. Gliding around the city and just being the Batman is still a lot of fun. The combat's really good, and I can easily recommend this game, especially since it is only $20 now. Unfortunately, the only place you can buy it digitally, that's on console at least, is on the Wii U. Even if it's only for preservation just to have a copy stored in a hard drive, $20 is a pretty decent price, and this game is solid overall. Moving on to what just might be the best day of 2013, October 29th, 2013 saw the release of both Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag and Sonic Lost World. As a diehard fan of Assassin's Creed and Sonic, that was a very good day for me. Starting off with Assassin's Creed 4, I bought it, I played it on the Wii U, I beat it, I did just about everything you could do, I put somewhere around 40 hours into it, bought it again on PS3, played and beat it again on PS3, paid the $5 or $10 upgrade fee to PS4, played and beat it again on there. Needless to say, Assassin's Assassin's Creed 4 is one of my favorite games of all time. Assassin's Creed 4 has you play as the pirate Edward Kenway, and he actually does go through a very good arc in my opinion. He starts off as selfish and he just really wants to go to the observatory. He really just wants to have as much money as he possibly can, and you see this guy and you're probably thinking to yourself, man, what a selfish bastard. And then when it's finally revealed why he is trying so hard to get this money, while it does not absolve him of any wrongdoing throughout the adventure, it does make you see him in a slightly different light, and I do like how they added some character depth to him. On top of that, the ending, even 7 years later, is still one of the most emotional, heartfelt, and sincere endings I've ever experienced in a game. Gameplay wise, it is still so much fun to go sail the open seas, taking down ships and upgrading your own jackdaw throughout the adventure. And then on top of that, I'm someone that likes to go get all the collectibles in areas, just turning the volume off, listening to some YouTube videos in the background. I find that to be so much fun, and this game gives me exactly what I want with all the downtime that I had, and then you're rewarded with money to go ahead and buy different weapons and outfits and upgrade your jackdaw. I really like that kind of game design because it's all completely optional, but if you decide to engage with the optional stuff, you do get an advantage in games. Thus, there is a completely optional but rewarding grind. Digitally, you can still get it for 20 bucks. I ended up getting a digital and physical copy of this one because I love this game so much. I can easily recommend it. I've played it on 360, Xbox One, PS3, PS4, Wii U, Switch, and PC, and any version, get your hands on it and play this game because Assassin's Creed 4 is a damn gem. Moving on to Sonic Lost World, I did do a full review of this game on my Sonic channel. I'm not going to plug that here, but I don't want to repeat myself too much, so I'll go ahead and say this. Sonic Lost World had a lot of good ideas. It's very experimental, and to a degree I really did appreciate that because I do like how Sonic Team tries different things and tries to keep the Hedgehog fresh. However, as a whole, as a giant collective, it just doesn't work as a Sonic game. The spin dash is back, but the level design is mostly flat, which doesn't give you a whole lot of slopes to really do much with the speed. There's a designated run button, so there is no momentum system at all, and it just feels more like a generic 3D platformer, i.e. Mario Light, than it does a Sonic game, and I don't like that overall. But the fact that they were trying new things, the game does look and run very well, and I did have a lot of fun playing it. I can recommend it for the 20 bucks it currently is on Wii U. It's also available on PC, and you can get it rather cheap if you wait for a sale. TLDR, Sonic Lost World is an aggressively mediocre game that is affordable, and I can recommend it at the $20 price point because it is still fun. Moving on to November 5th, 2013, it's all the release of Call of Duty Ghosts. I know I'm in the minority on this one, but Call of Duty Ghosts has to be one of my favorite Call of Duty experiences. No, it's not as good as Black Ops 2, but I love how open the map design is here. And look, this is right in the middle of my open world fetish that would probably explain why I like Ghosts so much, but I really had a lot of fun playing this. The shooting mechanics are great. Of course, I love the Honey Badger, and I actually like the story a lot. Then I've tried to replay it multiple times over the last couple of years, and I don't know what I saw in the story back then. The shooting is fun. The servers are still online. I got my physical copy for under 20 bucks, and it's a lot of fun if you just want some shooty bang bang. I'd recommend Black Ops 2 over it, but you could do worse than Ghosts. Released on November 22nd, 2013, Super Mario 3D World is in fact a game that is a hell of a lot of fun to play that I will probably never beat. The trailers made this game look like a lot of fun. I didn't have a 3DS again at that time, so I didn't end up playing Super Mario 3D Land, and I saw this as a great opportunity to try out the different gameplay style, and on top of that, you got the little cat suit, so, you know, I could try to cheese extra 1-ups until people complain and they took that feature out. Overall, when I think about why I never ended up completing Super Mario 3D World, I think it has a lot more to do with Sonic Lost World than I want to admit, because I kind of had my 3D platformer fix around then. On top of that, I was still playing a lot of Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, and within the next 6 months, I was going to be finally playing the PlayStation 4. I just kind of ended up getting too busy to end up playing through this one. I do visit it from time to time, playing a level here, level there, and I have a lot of fun because Nintendo games, especially Mario games, have a lot of charm to them. I just never end up beating them. That said, Super Mario 3D World is a fantastic game that plays and looks very good. On top of that, it's only 20 bucks. You can still get it on the Wii U. It's about to come out on the Switch with some extra content. I'd recommend waiting for a price drop. If only. But seriously, even though I've never beaten the game, I've had a lot of fun playing through it. I've had some good times playing with my sister, my brother-in-law, my wife. These multiplayer Mario games are a lot of fun, especially when you have people around. It just sucks when you have more than 2 people because the camera doesn't know what it wants to do, and I'm also more of a single-player gamer, so it's funny. I love single-player games. I get Nintendo single-player games, I never beat them. Then I get Nintendo single-player games that have multiplayer components. I play more multiplayer than single-player. I can't figure myself out either. Anyway, Super Mario 3D World is a really good game. It's only 20 bucks. I can highly recommend it, and if you really need to play it on the Switch, it'll most likely be worth the price. Just go to Walmart, get it for 10 bucks off. No, I'm not sponsored. I just like saving money. Next up, released on February 19th, 2014, is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. And while you guessed it, I never beat this one either. This game looked like so much fun when it was getting ready to come out, and it was only launching for $50. I couldn't help but buy it when it first came out. I did play a good amount of it, and I actually wanted to buy it again on the Switch, but I couldn't justify paying $60 for it. But lucky for me, when I was spending all that money on Wii U games for this here video, I did find a copy for 20 bucks, got to play a couple more hours of it, and it's still just as good as it was when it first came out. I absolutely love this game. I mean, seriously, there's monkeys and platforming. What else do you want? But seriously, the level design is actually really interesting. I like the aesthetics. I do like how it's basically Viking penguins you're fighting. It's actually pretty funny. And like I said earlier on in the video, there were so many great 2D platformers on the Wii U, and while I might have actually completed New Super Mario Bros. U and not Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, I'm gonna say this right now, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze Freeze might be the best 2D platformer on the Wii U. I said it, it's there. So yeah, the aesthetics are nice, but I think what it really comes down to is the fact that I just have a lot of fun playing this one, and I do find it more challenging than New Super Mario Bros. U, so while I might not be quite good enough yet to beat it, I still have more fun playing it, if that makes sense. I can easily recommend it, and while I prefer 3D platformers, anyone that loves 2D platformers, if you haven't already played it, go ahead and play it. You can probably find a physical copy for somewhere around 20 to 30 bucks, and if you absolutely must play it on Switch, I'd recommend trying to find a discount somewhere, but it's still a really good game and I can recommend it. Next up, released on April 30th, 2014, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, the video game. So 2014 was also the year that I really started getting into movies again, and Amazing Spider-Man 2, a movie about my favorite superhero that was also graduating high school the same year that I was graduating high school, and Godzilla, you know, Godzilla, my favorite monster. The releases of these movies really got me excited to go ahead and try to play some video games based on them. There was no Godzilla game, but there was an Amazing Spider-Man 2 game. I did briefly play the original, and it was pretty good, so I had some confidence this was going to be just as good. On top of that, it came with a free movie ticket, so, you know, 50 bucks well spent. Then I would go on to buy it again digitally on PS4 so I can get all the additional costumes in the more expensive version, because I am a bad person. Anyway, the game itself, I actually really did enjoy it, except for this game does have a lot of problems. I did love swinging around New York. I never really got to play Spider-Man 2 that much growing up, so this kind of was my first open world Spider-Man game. Yes, I did play Ultimate Spider-Man, but I barely touched that game. And on top of that, I really liked the Batman Arkham games, and since it was essentially just Spider-Man Arkham, yeah, I had a good time with this, and I still like it to this day, though now that I have played through Marvel Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales, I can definitely see a lot more of the problems with this game overall. But if I just wanted to give my overall brief opinions on it, I think it's a decent little budget title that had a lot of interesting ideas. It just never did anything with them, like the hero-villain system, where if you do bad things or let bad things happen, if citizens hate you. If you do good things, citizens love you. Here's the thing, the system is fundamentally flawed because if you just don't do the hero acts, you automatically get villain points, so it's not like you're actively doing anything wrong, you're just not doing the right thing, which, I don't like being punished for literally not doing anything. And then on top of that, there are certain points throughout the story where you're marked by default as a villain, then have to go around wasting your time to do the side activities so that way the environment doesn't mess with you. It was a decent idea on paper, they did absolutely nothing good with it, and it ended up padding out the experience and making the second half of the game not that enjoyable. And you really don't want to do that when the overall framework of your game is just mediocre. It's fine, I had fun with it, but I'm also a diehard Spider-Man fan who also still to this day really enjoys Amazing Spider-Man 2, the movie. I'm the exact audience for something like this. Anyone else, I can see why everyone else didn't like it, and overall I really can't recommend it. It's not worth the price you're gonna find it for now, but honestly I do still like the game, and I at least wanted to talk about it for a couple of minutes because I think it's underrated overall, because I can see the good things the game did do. I really liked the comic stand, I really liked all the different costumes you can get, I really did like a lot of the little references to Spider-Man lore, but overall it's just not really that good of a game. Once again, aggressive mediocrity. Moving on to the final brand new Wii U game I got before I sold off my original Wii U, released on May 30th, 2014, Mario Kart 8. I don't have much to say about Mario Kart 8. It's a really good game. It controls well, I like the tracks, the game looks very good, all of it's on the up and up. I just remember at that point, I played it, I had some fun, I didn't play it for too long, I got bored, and then I kind of asked myself, do I really even care about the Wii U anymore? And at that point, around mid-2014, when I had already got my PS4, no, I didn't. So I sold it and wouldn't get another Wii U again until 2016 for Star Fox Zero. That being said, I am still playing catch-up, so here's a couple of games that came out between then. Released on October 24th, 2014, Bayonetta 2. I actually got this one really cheap, that's why I ended up throwing it into the bunch. Played it for a couple of hours to give it a chance, and honestly, I really liked what I played. I'm just not sure if I'm going to end up going back to it. I really like how over-the-top and ridiculous this game is. It feels like a really fun and creative hack and slash. Bayonetta as a character came off as confident and kind of cocky, and it really was entertaining. I like those kind of protagonists that have confidence, that are also willing to have a little bit of fun with what's going on. Combat was quick, responsive, and entertaining, and I had a lot of fun with the couple hours that I played, so much so that I will likely find some time to beat the game eventually, but as it stands right now, I had a lot of fun with the couple hours that I sampled. The soundtrack was really good, the gameplay was a lot of fun, and I'm actually interested in the Bayonetta franchise now. It's affordable, it's also on the Switch. I can easily recommend this one no matter what version you're getting. Released on November 11th, 2014, was one of the only reasons I was considering keeping my Wii U for a while. Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric. Listen, let's put it into context. 2010 saw a pretty good racing game, a decent 2D game, and another decent 2D game. 2011 saw one of the best Sonic games of all time. 2012 saw a really good racing game. 2013 saw a pretty decent 3D platformer, all things considered. Sonic was riding a really high wave. He had the Progressive commercial, he had the cameo in Wreck-It Ralph, all the readily available merch. It was a really good time to be a Sonic fan at that point, and Sonic Lost World I still thought was a really good game at that point, so of course I was going to be excited for them trying something new with another Sonic game on the Wii U. I can't pinpoint exactly when, but at some point I just lost interest in the project as well as the Wii U, and wouldn't end up picking it up until somewhere around 3 or 4 months ago. I played it for an hour or so, and I didn't like what I played. It was just clunky and slow and boring. The game looks generic. The writing's okay, I suppose, but all the other things, just the monotonous gameplay, how boring everything looks and feels, yeah, I don't want to play any more of Sonic Boom. I will likely have to play more of Sonic Sonic Boom. Then there was this fantastic documentary on the game's development, and once again, Sega pulled a Sonic 06 with this, rushed the developers, made a bunch of changes midway through, and Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric could have been a really good game. And now when I look at the final product, I see a really bad game that could have been great, that was delivered off the backs of overworked developers that now have a bad reputation even though it wasn't entirely their fault. Honestly, I wish Sega never signed that exclusivity deal because it seemed like a dream come true at that time as the Wii U owner to have Sonic as an exclusive, but if that deal wasn't signed, not only could Sonic Lost World have been a little bit better or at the very least available on different consoles, Sonic Boom could have been really good. And on top of that, now that the last generation has officially ended, we could have had more than just 2 Sonic games on the Xbox One and PS4. Seriously, the exclusivity deal pretty much made it feel like Sonic skipped an entire generation. As it stands, Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric isn't very good, and I really wish it was better. It's $20 digitally if you're curious, but I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. Next up, released on November 18th, 2014 was Watch Dogs. I actually was really excited for this port because not only was another big third-party game coming to a Nintendo platform, but when I only had a Wii U later on, I was still able to play a game that I had a lot of fun with because I still stand by I really like Watch Dogs. As for the Wii U port in particular, it's actually a pretty decent port. It plays better than the PS3 version. I would also say the 360 version, however, I haven't actually played that version in like 4 or 5 years, so as far as the Nintendo Wii U version in isolation, it works. It's pretty fun. I think it's mostly stable. It does have some problems. This game was definitely not designed to run on Wii U hardware. However, just like Assassin's Creed 3 or 4, it is more than playable, though for whatever reason, it's still $30 digitally, and I can't really justify that specific price, so if you are still interested in this game, I'd recommend playing it on PC or PS4, Xbox One, or whatever, because you can probably get it cheaper. I think I got the gold edition for somewhere around $20 at some point. But if all you have is Nintendo systems and you're curious, it's essentially a stripped-down GTA-style game that has really good stealth and some movement similar to Assassin's Creed. It's probably the closest thing to a modern-day Assassin's Creed we're going to get. It might not be Game of the Year or Game of the Generation or whatever it was hyped up to be all those years ago, but what Watch Dogs is a really fun open-world game that I can recommend to anyone because it is genuinely good. Next up, released on November 21st, 2014 is Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. It's Super Smash Bros., but with more characters and stages. It's really good, it plays very well, anyone who's watching this has already played it. Let's be honest here, everyone at this point is either playing Ultimate or still playing Melee, you're not going back to this one, but if you really want to play a Super Smash Bros. Game and you only have a Nintendo Wii U, this is more than good enough and you can find a used copy for relatively cheap. I like Smash personally, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. My peak with the series was back during Brawl when Sonic was added, but I had a lot of fun with Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and I can easily recommend it if the only system you have is a Wii U and you want to play some Smash. Next up, released March 4th, 2016, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD. So during the summer of 2016, my sister and now stepbrother went on some sort of vacation together, I don't remember specifically which, and they wanted me to go ahead and watch the house for them. I had just enough money to buy another game, so on the way over there I stopped off at a Target and got Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD. I got the special little edition that came with the amiibo. I liked it. I don't know why I got rid of the amiibo, but whatever. And I ended up playing that for most of the weekend, and even though once again I haven't beat this one either, both back in 2016 as well as when I started playing it for this retrospective, I really found myself getting sucked into the game and I didn't want to stop playing, and because of that I genuinely feel like Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess is the most interesting Legend of Zelda game. It is the only one that has managed to make me interested for more than a couple of hours at a time, and at one point I will beat this game because it is just, it's good. Nintendo should have discounted it at some point because it definitely wasn't worth the $60 that I paid for the digital version to play it again. However, I kind of don't care because I like it. I can recommend it. Go play it. I don't know what it is about this version specifically because I did play it originally on the Wii. I just never got too invested for that version, but the Wii U version really finds a way to suck me in. Next up, released March 18th, 2016 was Pokken Tournament. This was another game that always looked entertaining, but I just could never justify paying the $60 for it. Luckily for this video, I did find a copy for somewhere around $20. I played it for a couple of hours and it's fine. It's really repetitive and it's kind of boring overall. I had a bit of a weird experience because I was playing with a knockoff Pro controller, so it was leading to a lot of my button presses not being registered. When I did switch over to the gamepad, that was completely fixed. That was just my personal experience. Overall, Pokken Tournament is the kind of game that I think you have to specifically like this kind of arena fighting game in order to get into it. Me, I'm not the biggest fan of fighting games, so that's probably why I don't care too much for it, but I did have some fun. I can recommend it to people that specifically like this kind of game. However, I cannot recommend paying more than $20 for it. Next up, released on April 22nd, 2016, Star Fox Zero and Star Fox Guard. This is what actually got me back into the Wii U. So, it was sometime after my birthday. My birthday is in April, so let's just say summer 2016. So my local GameStop that I've been going to ever since around 2010 was selling used Wii U bundles with brand new copies of Star Fox Zero, just trying to get rid of this game. I took it home, played it for about 20 minutes, thought it was crap, and just took it right back. I don't even think I ended up opening Star Fox Guard at that point. However, since I've been a little more open to trying gyro aiming and gyro controls in general, so I decided to give it one more chance, and even though I only played it for an hour or so, and I found myself enjoying Star Fox Zero a lot more this time around, it's just a pretty decent overall game. The only other Star Fox game I ever played was Adventure on the GameCube, and I wasn't a big fan of it, so I'm not really going to talk about this game in the context of the rest of the series. series, but Star Fox Zero by itself is actually a pretty decent little game with a surprisingly fun control setup that I don't feel like I gave a genuine effort to try out last time around, but now that I've been a little bit more open to gyro controls in general, giving it a chance right now, I think it actually works surprisingly well. Don't get me wrong, it was still a little bit disorienting when I was trying to go between the gamepad screen and the TV screen, but I found that when you really think about this game mostly as a gyro-controlled shooter, you don't really have to look at the gamepad all that much, and it made the experience a little more consistent and fun for me. Don't get me wrong, fundamentally I do still believe Nintendo should have been giving you the option to control the game however you want. However, at the end of the day, this control scheme isn't as bad as I thought it was originally. And then Star Fox Guard was actually a fun little distraction now that I gave it its proper chance. Don't get me wrong, I'm very unlikely to ever play the game again. However, just giving it a chance one more time for this video, I found it to be a fun little distraction that I sunk an hour or so into, and I don't regret that time. Honestly, I can recommend Star Fox Zero to anyone that owns a Wii U because you can still find brand new copies on eBay for like 15 bucks, and honestly, I can get more than $15 worth of value out of this package. It's a pretty interesting little game, and while it's not great, I kinda like it. Next up, released on June 18th, 2017, Cars 3 Driven to Win. This game was a meme. I've wanted this game for a long time because it was just out of nowhere releasing on everything. I have since played it on Xbox One, PS4, and Wii U, and beaten the game, and I can say this right now, it's actually a fun little kart racing game. Obviously, if you're a Wii U owner, you probably have Mario Kart 8, and I can't really recommend Cars 3 over that, but it is a decent game that I had a lot of fun with. I really like Cars as a whole, so it was kind of cool as a Cars fan, especially since Cars 3 is a pretty good movie overall, and the game is dirt cheap, and you can find it for everything, and it's always in like $20 bargain bins. Cars 3 Driven to Win just offers a good amount of content, and I can easily recommend it to anyone that likes the movies, or even kids that have never seen the movies before because it might get them into it. And finally, released on August 20th, 2020, Shakedown Hawaii. This game came out of nowhere and released on the Wii and the Wii U in 2020, so keep that in mind. But I was curious, and the simple fact that this is the most recent major Wii U game, if I was going to make a Wii U retrospective, I'm at least going to cover this. Keep it brief, Shakedown Hawaii is a classic GTA-inspired arcade game that is a lot of stupid fun to play, and because of how cheap it is, I can easily recommend it. And if you still have a Wii U, at least check this one out because it's not going to cost you that much, and it really is just stupid fun. And with that, I have run out of games to talk about, and I just want to say a couple of words. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. This really was a passion project, and I hope that you at least got to discover a game that you might not have heard before, or at least got to hear someone say they liked a game that you also liked, because, well, a little bit of positivity never hurt anyone. I have a lot of positive memories with the Wii U, and I really genuinely appreciate and cherish all the memories I have with it. And with that being said, I am in fact one of the 3 people that bought Assassin's Creed 4 on the Wii U, and have a good day.